guys, UnoPro here, back for a different kind of video today. Today I'm going to be doing a video about why I play Duelyst. Now I'm not just doing this for no reason. First of all, on managlow.com, which is a new site founded by some really well-known community members, really nice guys as well. So they've had a new site, their forums are just out, so if you haven't checked them out, I recommend you check them out because I think it'll be a really good place for people to discuss. I look forward to doing that myself. What they've done is they have a little competition on about why I Duelyst. So just talking about the reasons you still play Duelyst. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video was to take part in this competition. I don't really care about winning the competition or anything like that. I just wanted to get this video out there. But also there's been a bit of negativity in the community lately. Reddit and Discord talking a lot about randomness, which I made a video on yesterday if you haven't already seen that. But I just wanted to try and bring back some of the positives, talk about why we love this game. And I think the reason that people are so critical of the game is because they love it, because there is such amazing potential in this game that we all want to see it succeed. So let's get straight into things, okay? So my first main reason why I love Duelyst and why I play Duelyst is it's an extremely skillful game. Compared to other card games, having a board which you can play your minions on and play your spells around increases the skill cap by such a huge amount and allows us to have really good win rates if you play really well. Nearly every game there is something you could have done just slightly differently just because of positioning. It's not always the hardest thing to know what cards to play on what turn. You can sometimes just curve out, but even just a slight positioning decision can have such a big effect. And I think the turns that skill really comes into effect is actually the turns when you're not playing around anything. So you can suddenly, the decision becomes, do I play this a little bit more aggressively? Do I play it safe? Or, if I play it here, it's going to be slightly more awkward for my opponent to play around this card on his next turn. So you're not even thinking about the next turn, you're thinking about the turns after. And that's where skill is going to continue to involve. And I think even the best players in the game are still nowhere near the level that they could be eventually as time goes on. So going on from that point, good players are rewarded. Not only is the game skillful, but the game will reward you for it. The board allows you to get so much more out of your cards and increase your win rates. Now, obviously win rates and win streaks have probably gone down a little bit over time. There's still very possible to get 20 plus win streaks in S rank. I've got a 40 plus win streak before. Win rate's not very impressive, but 40 plus win streak before, and I know many people have done similar things. And also, if you look at the tournament scene, the same players tend to be winning tournaments. I know Kolos, Suchers, No Way, just a couple of examples. They're always up there when they play, and that means that the better players are being rewarded. So going back to the board, it basically allows you so much more room to maneuver. If your card's a little bit worse, if you maneuver more on the board, you can sometimes get a win. And the way I like to look at it sometimes is positioning often, if you can avoid free damage, which is such a massive part of the game that some people still haven't really got the grasp of fully, it's kind of like generating a free beam shock. If you have a big minion on your face and then you beam shock it, that's pretty good. You're going to avoid that damage for free. And if you position really well, a lot of time you can avoid that damage as well. So it's kind of like generating free beam shocks. This is the way I like to look at the game in some sense, but that's a little bit abstract. Anyway, the next point is something a little bit different, and I'm talking about the developers of the game. The developers are very accessible. You can find them on Discord and Reddit very easily. They'll always strike up a conversation with you. They're very friendly, and if you approach them in the right way, they'll answer your questions. They'll give you sneak previews. Really great guys, and they've definitely earned my trust. And when a decision that I might not even agree with comes out, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because they've proved me right over time. So sure, there's been some overpowered cards, but the developers haven't really taken long to nerf them at all. Compared to something like Hearthstone, where it can take a year or half a year to nerf a really problematic card that everyone agrees is overpowered, in Duelyst, the most we've had without a balance patch has been like a month and a half or something crazy like that. So the developers really good, and it's really nice just to be able to understand their reasoning. You don't have to necessarily agree with them, but if you're not happy with a change, go to Discord, approach them politely, ask them what was the reasoning for this. And even if you doesn't change your mind, doesn't agree, at least you can see why they do it and try and understand. So something I really like. Massive shout out to the devs. I think they're doing a fantastic job, and the game is definitely headed in the right direction in my opinion. Going on from that, a constant stream of new content has come out in the game. So every month we've had 4 new monthly cards, and this is something I haven't heard of. I've played heaps and heaps of CCGs, TCGs, whatever, and I've never seen this just regular monthly content which is not something you really see in a card game. It keeps the game really fresh, and sometimes it creates new archetypes, buffs up existing archetypes. Really, really cool to see. And on top of that, they've also created expansions coming up, and we saw the release of the Seven Sisters. And the Seven Sisters really surprised me, because not only did just only 7 cards shake up the meta so much, they weren't blatantly overpowered or ruining the game or making it harder for new players. And it was kind of the opposite of a money grab. Sure, some players who don't have all the rares won't be able to get them all, but it's not something you don't have to go out of your way to get them. You want to be getting all the rares anyway, and a lot of players just got them for free. And if you want to get these 3 legendaries and you have none of the rares, you just craft 3 each of the neutral or of the faction one, and that's 1800 spirit maximum, which no one is going to be at that level. So kind of the opposite of a money grab, really just giving players more options, and they didn't really need to. But I really like how the developers keeping the game fresh. And we also have Denizens of Shamar, I think that's what it's going to be called, coming out sometime this year, I believe. So that'll also be pretty exciting to see. And going on from that as well, regular balance updates. So rather than doing the Hearthstone approach where you very rarely buff cards or just rely on expansions, most card games that I like that you don't really see a lot of nerfing in online card games, especially once they've been released. We've seen pretty regular updates. I mean, we had 1 month without one and everyone was worried that they were gone forever, and then the next month we had a really nice balance patch, in my opinion. So balance updates keep the game really fresh, and I like the way the developers have approached some nerfs in particular, such as Starfire Scarab, where they just tweak one number just by a tiny amount and see how it goes, and then other cards have been a little bit more problematic. But I do like the regular balance updates, and as long as the developers don't start reacting really needlessly to the community and just knee-jerk reactions, it should continue to be pretty good. And I think balance updates have been pretty strong. Sometimes the replacement card is a bit strong, or the faction is still really strong, but then they nerf that the next patch, and that's completely fine. Another thing is a great community. Now, obviously being a YouTuber, a lot of people talk to me, add me in game, and I love doing that. I encourage, if you want to talk to me in game, feel free to add me. It's really nice to see very, very supportive community, especially the Discord and the Reddit. Someone comes in, they're a new player, what card should I craft? Can you look at my deck? And there's always going to be someone. And then we have some really educational streamers and YouTubers. For example, I know Grinch does, Deck Doctor every week or so, and just helping out new players with their decks. Really great community, and the developers are actually a part of that community. They're in there joking around in Discord, and that's something I really, really like to see. It definitely feels more like a community than something like Hearthstone, which is just so big and people all off in different ways. And the last point I want to talk about is the meta being extremely flexible. Not only does it change very often, it's just simply not as well established a game. It doesn't have that massive fan base of Hearthstone, where you have pro players playing 10 hours a day. There's not a lot of room left for innovation. In Duelyst, even though we have some really, really good players, people who play a lot, there's still a lot of unexplored territory, and anyone can make a deck. I can't go into Hearthstone. The chances that I'm going to make a new meta defining deck are pretty low. But if I come to Duelyst, I play around with a new archetype. I may not create a new archetype altogether, but I can definitely change the way it's played, and anyone can do that if they work really hard at it, and have some good ideas. So I really like the flexibility. The creativity in deck building is something that I really, really admire in Duelyst, even though I'm not the biggest deck builder myself. So anyway, guys, that's enough of this video. I definitely encourage you to go to Managlow forums, check out this competition, enter yourself. I think we need to, put a bit of positivity back into the game, back into the community, and really show the devs that we really do appreciate this game. I'm not trying to suck up here. I honestly just love this game more than anything. It's my favorite game probably of all time now. I'm just really, really engaged with the game. I'm still enjoying it as more than ever. So yeah, that's basically it. That's why I Duelyst, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and especially on the forums at Managlow. Definitely check those guys out. They're doing a really, really fantastic job. Alright, I'll see you next time.